Hey, Allister, why should I go to a songwriting workshop?
What a question. I think we should talk about it.
Let's do it. You're going to hate it, but let's do it. So tell me, why do you think I should go to a songwriting workshop? Maybe not just me. Like, don't say because your songs are lousy. But why?
What a great
why
answer
should I
that
go
would
to
be.
a songwriting workshop? Yeah, it'd be very fast. We'd get through things quickly.
Very fast. Yeah. And then you'd hang up on me and I would do the rest of this Hooks and Ladders episode by myself.
Exactly.
Which I don't want to do. So let's keep it civil. Well, let me tell you, I've been to a lot of songwriting workshops. I love songwriting workshops. And perhaps for me, the best thing about a songwriting workshop is that I get to be in the room with other songwriters, because usually, where am I? I'm alone in my songwriting workshop, my songwriting office.
Songwriting, you have a workshop at home. Songwriting is a solitary pursuit, generally speaking. And that's a good thing because, we need alone time to create. If you've always got your kids around or you've got your friends hanging around and you've got the screen on, you're watching something or whatever, you're not really going to have that time that is kind of necessary to stew in your own juices, so to speak. But being with a bunch of other like-minded people is really valuable too. Because why? Tell me why.
Well, as much as I love having that time alone to stew in my creative juices, as you say, that's absolutely necessary for me, and probably for a lot of our songwriter friends, to be able to take their own time, go at their own pace, and figure out what it is they're trying to write about and get there. The problem is, it's the forest and the trees, isn't it? Because I get to the point where I think, I've got it all. And it's perfect. It's the best song ever. But I only have my perspective, and I'm really tainted because I've been working on this alone. So I need to be in a room with other songwriters and get that fresh perspective from them.
There are some rude expressions that would describe what you're saying, about being... Anyway, so far into your own thing, so to speak, that you've lost perspective, as you say. Now, full disclosure, Allister and I run a songwriting workshop, and we've been doing so. This is our 19th year. And the name of the workshop, as we've mentioned before, is Song Studio. And you can find out details at songstudio.ca. But our workshop, we feel, of course, we're biased, we feel gives people both those elements, the time to be alone and stew in your own juices, to also spend time with other people too, to check out how your songs sound with other people listening. I don't know about you, but I get what I call the white knuckle effect when I play a song for the first time to human beings. And I instantly hear all the flaws, all the things that I feel like, I could have spent more time on that line. Oh, that line actually doesn't make sense at all. That kind of thing becomes instantly apparent to me when I play the song for other people. So I think that you're right. I think those are some of the things that songwriting workshops give. Another thing, though, is and it's an extension of the community that you alluded to. You also get community with professionals who you might otherwise have no contact with, no reason to be in touch with or to consult. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And the professionals that we bring into Song Studio, they're coming in and they want to sit down with songwriters they've never met before. They're prepared to sit down with songwriters they've never met before, which is far different from the cold call they receive in their office when they're really busy with something else. So it's a great environment in order to meet these people.
There's a remarkable amount of goodwill at a songwriting workshop in general, because I've been to a few myself in addition to Song Studio. But Song Studio specifically, it's kind of beautiful, the community that we've been part of building. And just the way people want to help each other and nurture each other's songwriting. Hey, Blair Packham here from Song Studio. Don't forget to like this video, share it with songwriter friends or people you think might be interested, or subscribe. Check out songstudio.ca for more information. Okay, so let's say, though, Allister, I'm a skeptic and I'm a purist, and I feel like ain't no way I don't know why the purist would talk like that. Ain't no way you're gonna fix my song, or, anyway, they might not talk like that. But you know what I mean? How do we address somebody like that who feels that they wouldn't get anything out of being with other human beings, or feels that anything they write is valid, which of course it is, really, but does it communicate? That's always the question. Anyway, how would we deal with somebody like that?
Well, one of my very first experiences bringing a song to a workshop, it was so eye-opening, it was almost painful. I brought this song that I thought was pushing all the right buttons. It was doing all the right things. It was telling a great story, and everybody would love it. And the panelists, there were 3 panelists, and they agreed that they just didn't get it. That they were looking at my lyric sheet, and they were really curious about how I was going to set these lyrics to music. And they thought, that was cool what you did to set these lyrics to music. But still, at the end of the day, they said, I don't know what you're singing about, because what was lost on me was the fact that I knew the complete story in my head. I knew everything about the story that wasn't in the song. They didn't know any of that. So it was that kind of outside perspective, fresh perspective, that was just so valuable to me.
Yeah, there are people, and I've met many of them, and a lot of the time they're really good writers, but they say, yeah, I don't write for other people. I write for myself only, and so I don't actually, the input from other people doesn't matter. To that I say, well, but you do want your song to communicate, right? You want people to feel something when they hear it, right? Now, the way that I would go about it might be totally different from the way they might go about it, but I do believe that sort of road testing your songs, there's nothing wrong with that. I personally think it's a valuable experience, not only being amongst like-minded people, but also getting some objective opinions. You don't have to accept the opinions. You can disagree. It's really up to you and your aesthetic, how far you want to take the advice that you're being given. I've been given advice about songs that I hate, and but I do find this: if there's a consensus, if more than one person says it, especially over several years, because it takes me a while to write a song, so I might road test it a couple of times, and if person A says, yeah, it takes too long to get to the chorus, I might initially dismiss that and say, yeah, well, too bad. But if person B, C, D, E, and F also say it, then I start to consider it, because I'm thinking, well, am I shooting myself in the foot here for the sake of what I would proclaim as integrity by not changing my song, or am I, should I allow my song to speak to people in a way that I want them to?
Yeah. It was part of my songwriting journey. I'm sure it'll be familiar to anybody when I say that it took me a while to be open to that kind of advice.
Yeah.
But what led me there? Tough. What led me there to the point where I was ready for that kind of advice was actually hearing it a few times and not protecting myself from it by staying away.
Yeah, that's right. And if you do only hear it from one person, I don't know about you, but I would have a tendency to think, oh yeah, screw you. I would take it personally because it's coming from one person to me, and I'd try and think, do they have a grudge against me? What did I do? How did I hurt their feelings? But, as soon as you start hearing it from other people who don't even know each other, then maybe there's some value there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
I think a songwriting workshop is well worth our time.
Oh, I agree. And again, it's one thing for us to say, oh, you didn't like it? Well, you're not my audience.
Yes.
But when you go to a songwriting workshop, whether it be Song Studio or another songwriting workshop, but you wouldn't want to go to any other songwriting workshop, no. But when you're in the room with a professional writer who says, it's not reaching me, and I think I know why, that's the gold there. You can play it for your friends, you can play it for your mom, you can even play it for other songwriters. They may not be able to actually spit out what it is that's hitting them the wrong way. They may not be able to figure it out themselves. But that's one of the pieces of gold that we get out of sitting at the table with a professional songwriter or a manager,
or a music publisher, a manager, an agent, all kind, a record label, A&R person. And the other thing, and I think maybe this is the final bonus, and it sort of cements the community idea, is the opportunity for collaboration at a songwriting workshop. I think that it's unparalleled, really. You'll find a room full of people who want to write with you, and it's almost like you can cherry pick the people whose music that you really enjoy the best. If you want to try and collaborate on something, you'll have a choice of like 20 people, and maybe you'll pick, the person who maybe different flavors. Who knows? But it's suddenly having that opportunity to write and collaborate with other people that I think is also a strong feature of a songwriting workshop. So there you go.
Yes.
I'm convinced. I'm going to go to Song Studio this year. How about you?
Perfect. Oh, well, I'll be there. I'll see you there.
Strange. I'll be there too.